And we're ready whenever you are, Mayor.
Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's City Council meeting. For those who are attending remotely, the camera in council chambers is set up to show those attending in person tonight. The platform we are using has a raised hand feature. You'll notice a picture of a hand in the upper right-hand corner. When we reach the point in the meeting where the public has the opportunity to address council, you can click that button to be given your opportunity to address council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kathy, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Tulley?
Here.
Counselor Selly?
Here.
Counselor Powers?
Here.
Counselor Scamperly?
Here.
Counselor Stevenson?
Here.
Here. Counselor Trim? Here. Counselor Weaver?
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. We have two presentations tonight, and the first we will start with City Manager Fonda Cronis.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor. Long awaited, we have the results and a draft copy of the 2022 audit for the City of Ogdensburg. And I would like to introduce Eric Thurman and Jason Pullman from Bucks Charles. And they are going to give you a brief rundown on the results of the 2022 audit. So I will turn that over to these gentlemen here.
Great, thank you, and good evening, everyone. So for the audit, we had previously met with the audit committee and presented a couple of deliverables, a required communications letter and a draft of the financial statements. I'll touch briefly on the required communications letter. It's basically summarizes basically high level of how the audit went. If there's anything significant that should be disclosed to you, I can say that there was really nothing, no significant findings at all in the letter that was presented. The biggest thing being basically there was a new accounting standard adopted for leases that requires governments to capitalize all their leases, not just ones that met previous requirements for capitalization. So that was basically the biggest issue, and there were no issues with no difficulties working with management during the audit, and it's pretty much it for the required communications. So I'll pass it on to Jason, who will kind of give you some highlights of the financial statements.
Thanks, Eric, and thank you everybody for having us here tonight. Previously provided the draft financial statement. I'm going to reference some of the pages as I go through them, just point out some of the highlights and key pages within the financial statements. First and foremost, on page 1 of the financial statements is the independent auditor's report in draft form. That draft opinion is an unmodified opinion and the opinion we plan to issue. And an unmodified opinion is a clean opinion. That's the opinion that you strive to have. Moving on to page 9 of the financial statements in the management discussion and analysis section. This page will give you a condensed statement of activities for your revenues and your expenses, and just want to point out a couple of the larger fluctuations year over year within these. The capital grants and contributions line, significant decrease from the prior year of about $3 million, primarily related to capital funding grants received in 21 for the sewer projects versus less grants in 2022 and more debt funding for the sewer projects. Real property taxes are approved by council. And then on the expense side, main fluctuation is the public safety and health line, which is driven by the purchase of the new fire truck, as well as the arbitration award settlement for the Firefighters Association that was paid out in 2022, but mostly paid out in 2022. Continuing on to the balance sheet or the statement of net position of the city on page 16. Just want to point out one item on here, as Eric had briefly touched upon. There was a new accounting standard, GASB 87, for leases, which previously leases, if not, would be disclosed in your footnotes to the financial statements. However, with the new standard, any lease is now considered relevant to put on the balance sheet, and you've got an asset and an offsetting liability, as well as some additional disclosures that go along with the lease standard adoption. So I just wanted to point that out. You'll see in the assets, capital assets is some of the leases, as well as down in the liability section, you've got a current and long-term lease liability that offsets. Moving on to page 61 of the financial statements. This will provide, page 61 through 63 will provide a snapshot of your general fund, your water fund, and your sewer fund budget versus actual revenue and expenditures. On the general fund on page 61, again, an overall decrease in the general fund of about $1.7 million. And from a budget variance side, about $1.7 million. And as previously mentioned on page 9, the biggest driver of that is on the public safety and health line for the purchase of the fire truck and the arbitration award. Page 62 and 63, water fund and sewer fund budget to actual. Nothing of real significance on these pages. Again, positive variance overall, and an increase in both of the fund balances for those two funds. The rest of the financial statements there's some modifications compared to what was presented in prior years and reorganization of certain funds. But overall, the numbers that are presented are, what you have previously seen and been presented to. With that, again, high-level synopsis of the financial statements and some of the more key points. I just want to open it up if there's any questions.
Questions or comments from council?
I guess I just have one. The 2022 audit, from the time frame of the start of the audit to completion, meaning, obviously we've been asking for it. We understand that some of the hurdles that started, but when did the audit, the 2022 year, officially start? And the reason I ask is because I wasn't aware that the firefighter award was done in 2022. That was made whole. Am I wrong in that?
It was not made whole It was not made whole in 2022, but it was required to be recorded in 2022. So the actual timing of the recognition of the expenditure follows one accounting concept of accrual method. And we ended up paying that out in, I think, 2024. Was it 2023? So all my years are running together. 2023, we had the cash payments go out. Yes, it was. Now that I think about that. But we were required to record it as an expenditure in the 2022
in the
year.
2022 audit or books.
That is
For the
correct.
county.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Any observations from management?
The only thing I would point out is that this was the first year of sales tax preemption. And as you can see, the deficit is roughly $1.7 million.
It's about 38% decrease in that revenue line. Hurt us bad.
And that deficit trend will continue, continued in 2023. You'll see the audit next month. And we're projecting 2024 in the same boat and 2025 in the same boat. So that is kind of the lay of the land as far as kind of balance of payments are concerned.
Good point.
And I'll just comment that, as was noted, the council's audit committee did meet with Eric and Jason last week to review the draft. I thought it was a good meeting, good discussion. And I think the key points from that discussion have been shared with us tonight. With that, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
And next, for presentation, we have a tax levy presentation from City Controller Angela Grin.
Good evening. On the heels of the January tax bills going to the public, I just wanted to give you a synopsis of the new, but this is really our second year, but we kind of rushed into it with a change in the 2024 tax billing of what is happening on the current year tax bills. And you will also be asked to vote on the tax warrant tonight, which will also just kind of tie all of this in. So the annual tax bill is billed in conjunction with the St. Lawrence County taxes, and these bills will be going out in January. The payment arrangements follow what the county's payment arrangements are, so you can pay them in 3 installments, you can pay them in full. However, the county allows those payments is currently what the city allows for payments as well. We do include re-levy amounts. Let me back up. And so where this is different is in prior collection methods, the city would bill mid-year, collect it in 2 payments. So now there's a little bit more option to the residents. And so in the January tax bill will also be re-levy amounts. And what is re-levied on tax bills would be any unpaid water, unpaid sewer, any miscellaneous charges, and unpaid school taxes. So in the month of January every year, the city is handed a bill from the school district of all of the unpaid school taxes. The city makes the school whole on those bills, and then we collect them. And what's not collected, we then re-levy, and ultimately the county makes us whole. So what is re-levied on a tax bill would be everything billed in the billing cycle of July through June 30th. So we used to follow a calendar year cycle and when we would go to tax sale. But due to the timing of all the tax schedules, our look back period is now July of 2023 for this current billing cycle to June of 2024. So anything billed to residents unpaid in that time frame will go on to their January bill. And the school taxes is the exception to that. That is billed in September, but given to the city in January.
So the city has to make the school whole, therefore the city puts it on the city's tax bill
That is
to
correct.
the residents or the landowners?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Question, any unpaid taxes, charges, things like that, snow removal, whatever, are they listed on the tax bill?
No,
Or
they're
is it
not.
just given as a tax?
It would just be listed as a re-levy amount.
Okay.
So in the 2025 bills that will be coming out in January, we will be including the 23-24 unpaid school taxes, August 2023 sewer, November 2023 water, February 2024 sewer, May 2024 water, and any quarterly water sewer billings in that 12-month time frame that still remain unpaid. So on the warrant, you will see the tax levy for the city being what was approved in the budget with an additional $1,052,000 that represents unpaid city government charges or school taxes. The breakdown of that is all included on the warrant, per item, but I just wanted to, that historically is, I think, a bit higher than what we typically re-levy. And I just wanted to make council aware of what is going on the bills in addition to the tax bill. What we often will hear in the comptroller's office is my taxes went up, when really it's not the taxes that went up, it would be the re-levies that are included in their tax bill. Any questions?
So if somebody sees a re-levy listed on their tax bill, they would call City Hall and say, why is this?
Oh, sure. We do receive calls like that, or they just remember I paid $1,500 last year and this year I'm paying $1,900 and I thought my taxes were supposed to go down. So we walk them through why they did go down but went up at the same time.
But there is an item that says re-levy, right?
Counselor, I believe yes. Yes, there is, because they do have to show each line independently. It may not be the breakdown of you have water, you have sewer. I'm not 100% sure in their absolute format, but the re-levy would be spelled out.
So there would be an explanation of sorts. I mean, with the dates and, August 2023 sewer, November 2023
That
water.
level of detail is most likely not on the bill, but it would reference a re-levy.
Wouldn't it make sense to have that level of detail on the bill if I were the resident and would save phone call?
It's out of the city's control.
Yeah.
The county prints our bills and does our billing. And I think they're as detailed as they can be. There's only so much room on some of these bills.
This is all a result of our changing our pattern of payment.
Correct. The city relinquished their foreclosure authority, and so this is the result of that. But last year, city residents were billed in April, and then we received the bill again in January 2024. And so now it's been 12 months, and just things are moving a little bit slower. So I just thought a brief presentation might be beneficial to show us where we're at with this January billing in the event that you had some feedback from taxpayers.
I think it's very beneficial because for the last 2 years, I've gotten a call from taxpayers saying, exactly, we're quite concerned, I guess is a mild way to put it.
Yes.
Getting billed in January for something that wasn't before.
And if they read the lines on about the center of the page, physical page of their bill, there should be the itemized listing to the level of detail that the county does provide, but they would see a breakdown of the various things that are being added to their bill.
Excellent.
Well, I'm grateful for the presentation. I'll probably be carrying this with me in public for a period of time.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this presentation is very helpful for council and hopefully helpful to our citizens. And again, just making a reference to that transition, as I recall, I believe January of 24 was the first year for the city of Ogdensburg to be making their payments. If they would choose installments, January, March, May.
Yes.
Whereas the year before, it was May, August. And the people who are used to saving money and having a payment in May now have to come up with the money to pay. And so that's why I think, staff and council might have gotten some phone calls for some confusion about that. So again, this is, helpful for us, helpful for the community. So thank you, Angela.
Sure. I just want to add that the residents were given until November 25th to bring anything that was outstanding current before re-levy. So that was our last date of collection on anything overdue.
All set?
Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any public hearings tonight, so that brings us to personal appearance. At this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 5 minutes. Now, if anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time and you will have 5 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, Mayor.
That brings us to our consent agenda. That the claims as enumerated in General Fund Warrant 24-2024 in the amount of $643,086.17, and Library Warrant number 24-2024 in the amount of $0, and Capital Fund Warrant number 24-2024 in the amount of $3,460, and Community Development Fund Warrant number 24-2024 in the amount of $0, and Community Renewal Fund Warrant number 24-2024 in the amount of $0, as audited, be in the same hereby are ordered paid. I so move. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson. Counselor Stevenson, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Counselor Trim?
Yes.
Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Approved.
All right, next we have appointments tonight. First, I will make a motion to reappoint Phil Cosmo, Doug McDonald, and Kevin McDonough to 3-year terms on the Ogdensburg Land Bank Board of Directors, terms to begin January 1, 2025 and end December 31st, 2027.
Second. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So we have the motion, Mike, you seconded. Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Abstain.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
approved.
All right, next I make a motion to reappoint Michelle McLaughlin to a 5-year term on the Augsburg Public Library Board of Trustees. Term to begin January 1, 2025 and end December 31st, 2029.
Second it?
Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
approved.
All right, this brings us to items for council action. Our first item of business will be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
A resolution to accept the 2022 audit.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any discussion? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business will be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a professional services agreement for accounting services with Angela Gray CPA and the firm of Gray and Gray and Associates Certified Public Accountants, PC.
I'll move that.
Any discussion? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Excuse me. Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business will be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Vernon Brand for assessor mentorship.
I'll move that.
Second.
Could you just have a quick explanation of this?
Absolutely.
please?
Tomorrow I will be having a second interview with an assessor candidate. If we are able to come to an agreement on salary and those types of things, I plan on appointing this person as acting assessor. This person has some experience, but probably not enough to be able to tackle having the full shebang of 4,000 parcels to go through assessment. So what we wanted to do was pair this person with some professional development so that they can not only be successful in the position, but also become certified by New York State.
Questions or comments?
And Mr. Brand's going to assist the sitting assessor now in this development.
Yeah, that's what the MOU is all about.
And extend our appreciation again to Mr. Brand for helping us out.
Yeah.
He helped us out in getting our tax roll together for 2025. So appreciate his assistance. Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business will be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
A resolution authorizing the Village of Hewlton to allow the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority to connect to existing sewer services for Ogdensburg International Airport.
Move that. Second.
Again, some comments about this, please.
Certainly. The agreement between the city and the Village of Hewlton is that if any other entity would like to tie into the force main from the village that goes into the wastewater treatment plant, the city had sign off on that. So this resolution authorizes the EPA to be able to connect into the force main and then allows the city to continue to review as these things go on. Timing does not mean that flow will start. OBPA is probably not going to be ready until midsummer to be able to put sewer flow through that. And this way we'll make sure that everything is copacetic, that all regulations are being met. We shouldn't have any issues on capacity, but we'll triple check that to make sure everything is fine when the flow starts. And that's what this resolution authorizes me to do.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council?
Fonda, my assumption is that this is going to include the new event center as well as the current airport.
Not at the moment. It's strictly the airport.
It's just the airport, so the addition that they're building now will require an additional approval on our,
Yes, that is true. Our bigger pull here is probably to create water and sewer districts for both OBPA and school. But those discussions are ongoing, and that could change my answer slightly to what I'm giving that right
okay, thank you.
So with the development of the event center, we'll call it, I guess, meeting space, I guess, community center. Anyway, with that being said, that there's a separate entity operating with that right now. Am I correct with water?
now. I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you clarify?
Okay. So with the new event center, if this is just for the additional airport and the terminal and the original base that they got now minus any construction, the addition that they're putting on there, the event center, do we have, what is the I don't want to call it a deal, but agreement that we have with the Bridge and Port Authority that was skirting across the highway? Shane might be able to help me with this. I don't know if he understands what I'm talking about either.
Water is one of the.
Our complaint was, or not complaint, but there was some back and forth about a 6 and 8 inch line.
Yeah, so they
Same one.
Yeah, they upsized the line for us to agree to give them inside city water.
That's for the,
It would be for their new
their
water.
new addition.
And yeah, it will serve the new addition and the old, because they have a well right now, which will be taken out.
Okay.
And just as a point of information, OBPA at their expense did extend the water line to
Yep.
12. Just in forward thinking about perhaps maybe servicing other properties on that, in that corridor.
Any other questions? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Tully?
Yes.
Counselor Selly?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Trim?
Yes.
Approved.
Our next item of business will be read by Public Works Director Shane Brown.
Excuse me.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a technical services agreement with Dank to develop an asset management plan.
Something like that.
Who moved it?
Dan,
Second?
again, can we have a little more detail on this, please?
Yeah, that's the development asset management plan for all city departments except for water and sewer, which we already have. It'll detail what we have, what it's worth, and put a succession plan together with depreciation values on everything for us.
Questions or comments from council? Okay, there's a lot of wisdom in doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first part of being able to put together an effective capital improvement plan is actually having.
Thank you, Shane.
Yep.
Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Tully?
Yes.
Counselor Selly?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Trim?
Yes.
Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Approved.
Our next item of business will be read by City Controller Angela Gray.
This is a resolution to approve the 2025 tax warrant.
I'll move that.
Second?
Questions or comments? Again, much of this was reviewed during Angela's earlier presentation. Thank you. Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Selly?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Trim?
Yes.
Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Tully?
Yes.
Approved.
That brings us to old business. Does anyone have any old business this evening? All right, hearing none, that brings us to new business. We have a resolution on the table tonight that I will introduce in its entirety since it wasn't part of the original agenda. And just a reminder, as I understand it, that it will take 5 or more yes votes to approve. This is a resolution to authorize the submission of a fiscal year 2024 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. Whereas the Federal Emergency Management Agency, known as FEMA, is accepting applications for the 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant. And whereas the AFG grant applications are due December 20th, 2024. And whereas the objectives of the AFG program are to provide critically needed resources that equip and train emergency personnel to recognize standards, outfit responders with compliant personal protective equipment to increase responders' physical protection against hazards during incident response, provide funding to retrofit or modify facilities to protect personnel from known health hazards, acquire emergency response vehicles, design and implement health, wellness, and resiliency programs that prepare responders for incident response, enhance operational efficiencies, foster interoperability, and support community resilience. And whereas the 2024 FEMA AFG program requires a cost share of match pursuant to 15 U.S.C. Section 2229K1 equal to not less than 5% based on population of the federal funds awarded within the 24-month performance period. And whereas the AFG grant application proposal seeks $452,900 towards the purchase of a mini pumper quick attack apparatus with a local share of $21,566.67. And whereas the purchase of a mini pumper quick attack apparatus will enhance the efficiency of emergency response within our geographic area by reducing the wear and use of the department's aging apparatus fleet. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ogdensburg City Council authorizes the city manager to submit a fiscal year 2024 AFG application. I so move.
Second.
A little bit more detail, I guess.
Sure, I'll ask the chief to come up and give you the details. Good evening.
So we were fortunate. FEMA actually, it's not very often that they will do two assistance to firefighter grants in the same fiscal year. So this one kind of caught us by surprise. In talking with our grant writer, we were trying to come up with what was going to give us the best opportunity for a successful application. As you know, we have put in the last two times for a boat. She suggested that we don't do that again. The AFG is strongly, highly competitive, and it is usually based on firefighter safety. While a boat would have made our citizens a little more safe, I guess it doesn't meet the criteria for firefighter safety. My vision with this mini pumper is, as we all know, we do have an aging fleet. We have two engines that should be replaced, full-size engines, but they don't meet the life expectancy standard to have qualified for the AFG itself. So what this would do is this would allow us to have a new response procedure in which the mini pumper would be one of our first in engines. It would bring our older vehicles off the road for less mileage, including our newly purchased Quint, which in the last year and a half has put on 8,500 miles. That would come in second. It wouldn't run for all the fire calls like we currently use. So on the safety end of it, one of the things I implemented when I became chief was we started responding to EMS calls with the smaller vehicle. This is the firefighters prefer that as it's easier to get around. It's obviously a cost savings, but it does come with risk. There is potential that they could be on an EMS call and get a fire call at the same time, and they either have to make the decision to go to the fire station and pick up the fire truck or show up to the fire scene with just the one fire engine that's there. This mini pumper is capable of fighting fire. It'll have a 300-gallon water tank, 1,000-gallon per minute pump. It'll be able to we could use it to fight a structure fire. So they would be always in a truck that has firefighting capabilities.
Thank you, Chief. Questions or comments from council? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
yes,
Counselor Trim? Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Tully?
Yes.
Counselor Selly?
Yes.
Approved.
Any other new business to come before council tonight? That brings us to items for discussion. Does anyone have any items for discussion this evening?
I have one, Your Honor.
Please, Jeff.
So we have talked a lot about lack of staff, and everybody's doing more with less. And with the weather events that we're having and our surrounding areas are having, I would just be interested in an update from DPW as to where we stand with staffing with them and how they feel about the availability to continue to keep our streets clear and do any of the other necessary tasks that are needed.
Is that something you're looking for immediately, or can we do it on the 13th?
We could do it on the 13th, or because we are in the middle of the winter, if we just had a slight overview, it doesn't have to be any detail, but just a general idea. That would be great tonight, and then maybe more detailed on the 13th.
Jane, can you give a quick update?
We are currently down one position, our city head facility maintenance worker, which takes care of all the buildings. So we have other staff doing that at this time. The individuals also took care of everything else besides that, help with water, sewer, street. We have just had one person pass their CDL road test to last Friday. So that leaves us 2 people at DPW that do not have a CDL currently. They're training to get it. So that takes our night shift at the time. Right now, we only got 4 started this Sunday, so we'll probably have 6 on it till they pass, which could be up to 6 months, but hopefully they can get it through it quicker. We have probably 8 staff with less than 5 years, 6 of them less than 2 years, and I think 5 of them are brand new this year. So we are a very young staff as of late, with retirees and people moving on to other jobs. The 2 plants we started implementing, we haul our own sludge, which is a major savings to the city. We only currently have 2 people there with a CDL, so we're supplementing with DPW street staff to haul it at this time, so they can get up to speed. It's a little harder for them because they can't drive as much as them because they're doing their plant duties. So that's a brief overview of where we're at right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Anything else? So that brings us to citizen participation. At this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 2 minutes. Now, if anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute 1 person at a time, and you will have 2 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, Mayor.
All right, I'd like to introduce a resolution to adjourn to executive session. Whereas City Manager Fonda Cronus requests an executive session with members of the Augsburg City Council to discuss proposed pending or current litigation. And whereas New York State Open Meetings Law permits City Council to adjourn to executive session for such purpose. Now therefore be it resolved that City Council adjourn to executive session to discuss proposed pending or current litigation. Be it further resolved that any action resulting from this executive session shall be taken in open session. I so move.
Second.
Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Trim?
Yes.
Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Tulley?
Yes.
Counselor Selly?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Approved.
We do not anticipate any action. So before we adjourn, just a quick extension to our citizens. Best wishes for a happy holiday season, happy and healthy start to the new year. We're back in the council meetings. Our first meeting is January 13th.
Merry Christmas.
So with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned after executive session.